Now, with less than a week before the Easter period and many churchgoers looking to attend services, church leaders have been warned to follow all COVID-19 regulations. Churchgoers may have legal room to hold leaders accountable should they contract COVID-19 during the Easter break. Under Adjusted Alert Level 1, all faith-based, religious, social, political and cultural gatherings are permitted, but limited to 100 persons or less for indoor venues and 250 persons or less for outdoor venues. I'm now joined by Pastor Giet Khoza, Senior Pastor at the eWorld Church, to give us a sense of the preparation process. Pastor, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time. As the COVID-19 regulations are now allowing congregants to meet and really share during the Easter long weekend, there is a lot of caution that needs to be observed. In terms of your preparation process, what's that looking like?
Well, thank you, Paul, for the opportunity. And yes, I think all of us, not only the churches, all of us have a responsibility to observe the hygiene protocol, because we all have a responsibility to curb the spread and also to save lives. We have seen what COVID-19 has done, the destruction of human life in a big way. So we all that have responsibility. So we also follow everything that is in the guidelines, in a sense of, for instance, in our church, when you come to church, you sanitize before we check in your temperature, we check all the symptoms if you don't have them, and then someone specific take you to your seat. And in our venue, got at least 5 doors that we open, it remain open, and the ventilation is very good. So people fellowship wearing their mask, and our chairs are 2 meters apart. So we are very strict on that, because we know we have a responsibility as pastors and as a church. Our most priority is to save lives at most. Well,
the Easter period is one that's really important on the Christian calendar, and of course a lot of congregants will want to come to church and make sure that they're part of that, especially because COVID-19 had such a huge impact on the country last year and they weren't able to do that. How are you going to make sure that you do indeed have 100 people indoors and 200 also outdoors without going over that limit?
I'm sure, Paul, you are aware on the reports that the religious leaders and church leaders had a discussion on engagement with our president and presented what we call 50% capacity entrance, because you see, currently the government is using a number like 100, and that number is not helpful in terms of bigger churches with large auditorium. So you've got to use a percentage so that everybody is accommodated. So we are waiting for the president to address the nation, what we call, you will know, the family meeting, to hear what he will say in terms of our presentation. And obviously that is done safely. So waiting for that, but it should not be granted. We'll go with 100. What we do normally, we'll ask people to register online, and those who can't register online, obviously we communicate with them. But it will be very difficult, I must say. 100 people is very small, particularly for other churches. So yeah, it will be difficult, but we will do whatever we need to do to save lives, but to still celebrate Easter. It's a very, very important weekend in the Christian faith.
Now, churchgoers may essentially have legal room and legal grounds to hold church leaders like yourself accountable should they contract COVID-19 within your church during this Easter long period. What is your reaction to that?
Yeah, look, that's a tough one. I will just throw the question back to you. If someone go to a mall in the midst of people and all that, how will you do that? What I find, Paul, which is very strange, is that the church leaders and churches and Christian and religious leaders in particular were always pinned in a corner so that we don't do this, we don't know. But if you look throughout this year, we are complying. We were the first to comply when this pandemic hit, when the president, a year ago, particularly this time when the president said, all of you close everything, we did. And throughout this year, we have been quiet, closing, So when people want to, sue us, what do we say? If you have symptoms, you're not feeling well, please don't come to church. But the legal route, I don't know, how will that, we'll just cross that bridge when we get there. but it will be unfair given the fact that the taxis are full, the aeroplanes are full, the malls are full, everywhere it's full except the churches. And all these sectors, they don't, if you look at an aeroplane, it's people in one place with social distance. So I think we must allow to prove ourselves that we can do things properly, because we have proven that we can do things properly.
With the COVID-19 third wave looming and a lot of concern around the daily number of people being infected with COVID-19 and the death rate also still something to really be afraid of, as we see more and more people dying of COVID-19. As a church, I mean, it's a place where people essentially let their guard down. They feel a lot more relaxed because of the atmosphere. Are you not at all concerned that the Easter long weekend, irrespective of the numbers, but the manner in which people let their guards down and become more relaxed and will essentially take off masks, are you not concerned that the event could become a super spreader event within your churches?
No, absolutely not. Okay, first of all, let me correct you. One, people are not relaxed and let their guard down in church. Hence, I've explained earlier that we got all these hygienic protocols. Here at church, even when we advertise our services, if you go to our website or any other platform that we use, the first thing we talk about is the hygiene protocol. And when people come, we've got people that make sure that people follow those rules. And when we're worshiping, we're 2 meters apart and people are wearing masks. So we don't see that. But you see in an aeroplane, I'll use the aeroplane for instance, people are squashed in that one aeroplane. They're sitting on top of each other, for lack of a better word, and they're breathing the same air. There is no social distancing. I don't understand why the churches are always being pinned down to be labeled as a super spreader, but we have never super spread anything at all, because we comply, we observe, we tell our people. The last thing a church would want or a pastor would want is to spread this disease. And hence we make sure that we do our part. But at the same time, there should be a balancing act, because, I mean, other industries are open, it's just except us. So we are fully aware of our responsibility, and we'll make sure, and we'll always have made sure that people come first and people are aware. We make sure we repeat the message over and over again. So we are not super spreaders. Thank you.
Very well. Thank you so much for your time. Of course, that coming out of Pastor Khoza there, speaking about some of the, measures that are being put in place to ensure that congregants, churchgoers can meet the obligations of government and COVID-19, and of course anticipating that meeting, that announcement by the President on whether or not churches will be allowed at all to have allow outdoor gatherings of up to 5,000 people and indoor gatherings of up to 1,000 people to accommodate the religious gatherings over the Easter long weekend. So we do anticipate that outcome from the President.